Good morning, church family. My name is Lynn, Dalton, and I've come today to follow what God has put in my heart by sharing my story. Hopefully it will help someone move forward in their walk with God. Some of my earliest memories were sitting beside my grandmother, my grandfather in church, and I was raised in a church home, was taught the Bible from the earliest age, before I could even read, really. And everything was, I had a fairly good childhood until my biological parents divorced. And my biological mom, where she was so mad at her ex-husband, she took it out on me. She tried to kill me several times, threw me out of a moving car, beat me so bad I couldn't walk. That was my first lesson in trying to move forward and trying to do what God wanted me to do. And I tried to get the hatred out of my heart, but it took me several years to do that. I can remember Mom and Dad talking to me about if I didn't get rid of the hatred would eat me alive. After my mom and dad adopted me, I had a good childhood. We were poor, but we were happy because God was the center of our family. It was always about Jesus and God. And like I said, Mom taught me from an early age about Jesus and about His love. And everything was good, and all until my great-grandmother passed away. And she was my best friend, and there again, more hatred built up in my heart towards Jesus. Not towards where it should have been, or not having love in my heart, but I had hatred. I blamed the Lord for taking my mama away from me. And that was the start of me sliding down into a rabbit hole that eventually took me to prison. My dad passed away in 2006, and that's when I really went into off the deep end. I felt like the world owed me something. I was addicted to money, but I didn't want to earn it. I didn't want to work for it, but I wanted it. And this kept up for 2.5 years. And I thought that this was what was going to make me happy finally in my life, but it didn't. It took me to the lowest point in my life. At that point, I was locked up for fraud. And I went forward when I was a child and got saved per se, but it was just to get patted on the back and to get recognized by the people in the church. It wasn't really turning my life over to Jesus. But while I was in the county jail, January the 1st at 1:01 in the afternoon, I finally felt the crucifixion story. I'd heard it all my life growing up in church, but I finally felt it. I'd been locked up underground in the jail for 9 months. But at that point, I felt the sun on my face. I could smell the blood. I could smell the dirt. I could hear the screams and the crying. And I could feel the nails being driven into the Lord's hands. I felt it. I didn't just skim over it. I felt it. And I thank the Lord for that. That was the beginning of me learning to give the hatred away, to let the Lord take care of it and to try to follow what the Lord wanted me to do. It was hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. Following God's not easy, but it is the best way to go. It will give you a retirement plan that's out of this world. I know that now. My mom passed away in 2013, and it wasn't easy, but it was, in my heart, I knew that she had went to heaven, and I had that reassurance that one of these days I'm going to see her again. And that helped me to move forward. Unlike when my father passed away and all I had in my heart was hatred. After I turned my life over to God, it helped me move forward. And then I struggled and I fell down along the way. I backslid, didn't keep promises that I made to the Lord. But He kept me wrapped in His hands, and He showed me love, and He poured blessing upon me. He helped me to move forward. And then in 2019, I met my wife. And she's been one of the biggest blessings in my life. She is a good Christian woman. She helps me on my walk. She pushes me to be a better man, to be a better Christian. Right after we got together, I ended up catching COVID and double pneumonia. Was in the hospital for over a month. I almost died several times during the day. I was the worst one that got put in the day that I went in. And everyone other than me that went in with me passed away. But Lil, my wife, helped me along with the Lord. She prayed every night. And the Lord put His healing hand upon me. And He brought me out of the hospital, and He's helped me move forward. I may not understand what He's got for me, but I know He's got a plan for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't still be here, and I wouldn't still be moving forward. When I was locked up in the county jail, the hatred that was in my heart had built up so much. It was the only emotion that I felt. It was the only emotion that I showed people, because at that point in time, it wouldn't hurt me. The anger, it was like it kept me safe. I didn't want anybody to get through that barrier, because everybody that I loved went away from me. My mama passed away. My dad passed away. My mom passed away. My biological parents didn't want me. And the Lord allowed me to see, as I said before, He allowed me to feel the crucifixion story. I was at my lowest place in my life. I was contemplating suicide. I didn't want to go on any further. I did not want to be on this earth. But the Lord, through His grace and His wisdom, He allowed me to feel what He went through when He was crucified for me. For me. At that point in time, it was for me. It wasn't for anybody else. It was for me, and He showed me that I was worth something. That He did love me, even though I'd hated Him for so long. He kept me safe through the whole time that I was in prison. He brought me out. I was homeless for a while, and He took care of me, provided me a place. It was under a bridge, but he provided me a place to stay. He kept me safe. He kept me warm. He fed me, just like he did the children of Israel in the wilderness. I was in my wilderness, but he never once forsook me. He never once let me do without. It was hard, but he kept me moving forward. And then I was lucky enough to find a job, and I had someone who reached down to help me. And I know now that God sent him to me. He helped me get a job. And through that job, I was able to get an apartment, and I was able to move forward. I still hadn't kept my promises that I made the Lord in prison. Oh, I prayed and prayed and prayed, and I tried to bargain with the Lord and tried to make deals with the Lord and all like that. And I promised him if he would allow me to get out of prison safe and sound, that I would turn my life over to the ministry. I would turn my life over to preaching his word or teaching his word or sharing his word, something. And it's taken me this long to finally break down and decide to, if nothing else, share my word with somebody that would help them to move forward in their life. As I said, I grew up in church, and my mom and my dad always taught me to keep my eyes on God. And even when I was in the darkest places in my life, my mom was always praying for me. I know she wore out the hem of her dress more than once on her knees for me, hoping that I would get back into church when I dropped out. I dropped out because of the hatred that I had in my heart. And then when I got put in prison, we had a church group in there, and it was the bright part of my life in there, because I had other people of a like mind that could help me grow. And I did grow, even in the worst place I'd ever been. I did grow. Not only did I start to give the hatred away to God for him to deal with it, because I couldn't. I had gotten to the point that I couldn't do it. But the Lord can. The Lord showed me what it was going to do to me. And if it hadn't been for my mom praying for me constantly and my dad praying for me, I would have died a long time ago. And then I met several great people at Manly Baptist Church in Morristown that actually cared about me. It wasn't something that they were doing to try to get something out of me. They actually cared about me. They helped me to move forward even more, to learn that there was other people in the world that did care for me. Then I met Lil in 2019, and she showed me that there was good women in the world. I'd been married several times, and all those women that I was married to before her, all they wanted was money or what I could do for them. I got out of church because of my first ex-wife, who was a practicing witch, and I dropped out of church because of her. And moved through life from one bad woman to another until I met Lillian. And I got sick in 2020. We'd only been together for 10 months. And from that day forward till now, she's taking care of me, hand and foot, praying for me, caring for me. And she showed me love, real love. Not something that she can get out of me, but real love. To me, it's almost the type of love that God has for me. She makes me a stronger man. And I thank the Lord for her. And I thank the Lord for my new church now. This is home. We have come home. And praise the Lord, I don't have any hatred in my heart anymore. All I have is love. And it's bursting out of me. No matter how hard you think it is now, without God, it's going to be impossible to get through it. Everything that I've went through, even when I hated God, He was there. He directed me. When I got sick, I had to learn a whole new set of skills. I learned to be humble. I learned to be thankful for each and every minute of each and every day. I couldn't do it without the Lord. And I'm just going to be real. If you don't have the Lord in your life and you don't turn your life over to the Lord, you're going to go to hell. You're going to bust it wide open. And if you think it's hard now, that is going to be out of this world.
Anything else you want to?
Just that I love my church, and I'm thankful for my church. And if you're not in church, I beg you to come to church. It don't have to be this church, but just get in church. Be around people that will help fuel your life with the right types of things. You may live in the world, but you don't need to be of the world. Get in church. Turn your life over to God before it's too late.